Hi, Mark. I'm drawing this LA Metro pyramid for Ryan, and there's a note on the reactions and bar sizing about a moment splice at the apex. And I have a bunch of different ways, and I thought the quickest way to show the different options to kind of get your thoughts on which way you want to go was through a video. So bear with me, and I will walk you through it. I have 5 different ways to do the hip moment connection, and then 2 different ways to do the center rafter, all of which are kind of intertwined. So this is the first one and the one I think you don't want to do. It's got a bar here, and we would have to cut 4 of those identical and then weld them together to make the apex for the hips. But all you could do would get a fillet down here and maybe a groove weld across there. So I don't know that that's really a very good option. This one works because I can buy a 2.5 by 5 piece of bar stock, which would fit the hip bar very good. So this is the hip, and an 8 by 3 does not have a very big cavity. It's only 5 1/4 deep. So 2.5 by 5 fits in there pretty good. Um, Going back to the model, let's look at the next contestant. Well, that was actually number 4. Let's look at number 5. So this one, I think, is probably what the sketch shows, but I don't have material. I would need a piece of 6 by 2.5 rec bar to make that, and even then it's a lot of cutting, but they don't sell that. So we'd have to get a 6 by 3 and then cut a 1/2 inch out of it to make that piece. And then we'd have these guys here, which we could cut from the 5 by 2.5 and then weld them on. But you would get a weld here and across the top. You could probably get all the way around. But when you do the center bar, let's just turn on the typical one. You're gonna, oops, sorry about that. You're gonna have our standard clip, and then we're gonna run bolts into your welded joint. And it's kind of half in one, half in another to start with. Probably we would have to try to drill on an angle into the main bar and oversize this one. Not ideal to me. I think they're able to do it lately, so it is a way to go. And I have to look at that some more if that's the way that works best for you. So bear with me as I deal with my crazy monitor here. And let's look at number 1. Another way to go is, well, it's really freaking out. What if I made plus shaped plates? So I could make a plus shaped plate, top or bottom, and I'm just going to leave it there. And then I'd have a gusset run through between 2 of the hips, and then the other ones would get pieced in, and then we would be able to weld it. Now you're going to get a groove weld here and here. Could probably run a fillet here. And let's say 2 inches of return in the end. You might get a little bit more. I don't think a lot. So weld access gets to be a problem, but hopefully with the groove, fillet, and groove on both sides with a return, we could maybe get a little bit of return at the top. As we only at one end, you wouldn't be able to get it on both. So welding's kind of an issue with that one. I'm not sure how much weld you need for this or what you're trying to do at the moment. Is the weld holding the parts together going to control, or just the pieces being bent? So I thought this would be a 1/2 inch 6061. These would be 3/8. So let's look at number 2. Same idea, except I could make the gussets a little bit taller and then put the plus plate on the inside. So let's move that up there and give this a little rotation. And this plate I was going to kind of key notch it so the pluses would nest in there, hopefully lock it up a little bit, and then I can put another plate across to give you the compression for the other two hips pushing that way. I kind of lean towards this one, or the one I'm going to show you after it. It's all plate, stuff that we have and we can cut. Again, this would be 1/2 inch 60-61, bend it. Now when that was in place, let's see if I can go back. You're going to get fillets around here, kind of going that way. A return coming in this way, 2 inches again, and then fillets all the way around the bottom. So again, 2 inches of return, maybe a little more. I'm drawing all of these with 14 inches across, a typical Moments Place width. I don't know if you were thinking it needs to be bigger. If it's 24 inches wide that you're thinking, well then that 6x3 would have to be like 12x3 and probably cost $2,000 for one piece of stock. It gets pretty pricey in a little job. So fillets here, fillet in the corner, and returns. I don't know, is that something you can work with? And then there's one more, which is number 3. And again, I went back to the bigger plate, 1/2 inch thick, but the full 2.5 inch width. And let's put that up here. And then I used our standard apex channel and cut that to a miter. And then actually a 3x3 block sort of fills in the middle to make the guts of this thing. So we could probably weld, a couple inches down each way to weld the blocks and the plates, the angles together. And then we would add the top and the bottom over the top and then do the groove with the 2-inch weld. I'm sure we could get a block like this to go into the option I showed you before. So I could swap that with something like this. But I thought that gave me a chance to get some of it. I'm not sure how much of this you're trying to solve for the compression or just exactly what's going on or how much weld is actually needed. So just going to go back. And I'm going to go back to what I called option 2. And then we're going to look at the center rafter connections. So typically, we would have the bolts holding that channel into this connection. And I guess if I did it number 3, I'm sorry, I didn't think it through before I just started making this. Let's give it a little x-ray. So we would be taking this bolt, running it through, tapping it into here, and I guess tapping into this block. I'd prefer a drilled clearance hole behind it and just do the tapping here. But that would be a pretty normal way to build something like this. Does that work for the center bar? No, the center bar is a little bit deeper than the hip, so I got to kind of shave things a little bit differently for the different bars. And I'm not sure again what's governing what you need to do. I have an alternate way to make the connection, which is to take a plate and cut it like this, which would then let me get a fillet weld in right here, and I can weld that to the connection for our apex connection, and we would have to notch the sidewall of the hip back to kind of fit around that pocket, but I don't think anybody would see it. And I thought that might help you brace up the actual moment joint some more. And then we could take our new funny jack bar clip and trim that to get it in the same place as the other one. And we would probably drill these deep and then kind of counterbore it and then have 2 or 3 screws tapping into this 1/2 inch plate. So that's an awful lot to take in. Give me a call on Friday, or I'll call you, or give me an idea which way you think we should go. I may draw you a quick plan of each one and just send you the graphics, so you have a quicker reference. And kind of give me a little feedback on which way you want to go with this. I don't want to just draw one up and then you go, well, that's not what I was thinking. So that was it. I just thought this was a quick way to show you how it was all coming together. Thanks.